Prizing in card games is something that is incredibly important in the current era. I think nobody is really trying to argue that too much, and I think a lot of the currently very successful card games have shown that good prizing will bring in people and help to grow your card game. And so Vanguard finally decided to keep up with its competitors in English, and as it's been already doing in Japanese, and they announced their prizing structure for BCS, which a lot of people were very happy about. And you got top 32 prizing. And you know, this is just my tweet. They basically announced the prizing structure for the BCS, which if you don't know what the BCS is, it's the competitive tournaments, basically the way to get into the World Championship in Vanguard. And they basically showed that, you know, there's going to be a bunch of prizing, not just for the winner, but even all the way up to top 32 potentially, as long as your regional championship has 257 or more players, which Vanguard's been hitting pretty consistently lately. Just for participating, you get a promo pack for the respective game that you play in. And what's really cool is that in the Vanguard promo pack, you actually have a chance to get these really cool, so these nation energies. So these ones, you basically get them, we got them the same way here in Japan too. So these are pretty cool. They go for like 50 bucks each, which is, you know, pretty good price. You also get a tote bag for participation, which is also very nice. You know, I love tote bags. Tote bags are good culture. But what's really interesting is that for top cut, you get a prize. So top cut gets a prize card between the Masanori energy generator or the Nao energy generator. And top cut, you know, if you have a smaller regional, like 128 players or less, is only top 8. But if you have more than that, up to 256 is top 16. And if it's 257 or more, then top 32 gets it. And then top 8, you get yourself a playmat, which are always very, very cool. Same for Premium and Vice and Evolve. This especially is really, really nice. And then you get top 4 and you get one of these overtriggers depending on which region you are playing in. For Premium, you get the Salome. For Vice, you get the Oshinoko one. For Evolve, you get the Acolyte's Light. Top 3, you get a certificate and an unsponsored invite. And the winner gets a sponsored, all expenses paid trip and entry to the World Championship for all of the games. And for Evolve, you actually get a winner's card as well. So cool. Look at all this prizing, right? Isn't it great? The big complaint for Springfest this year in English was that for participating, you got a cheap deck box, a promo pack, which, you know, had a lot of cool reprints, so it was appreciated. But then you go all the way here and then top 3 teams get a medal. So if you're top 8, you don't get anything. And then only the champion actually gets a card, like, and a, you know, like a trophy. It's like, there's literally nothing in terms of like tangible stuff outside of the top 3. Like top 4 just gets nothing. The 4th place team gets nothing. A lot of people went like, well, every other card game is giving out so much stuff. Like that's kind of a problem. Even if you look at Vanguard from 2 years ago, right? This was the first Springfest after COVID, basically. So you got a deck box for entering. You got a promo for entering on top of the deck box, which this year they didn't have. And then you got a top 8 promo as well. So it was the same one, but with a hot stamp. So again, something for top 8. Top 4, you get a certificate. Top 3, you get a exclusive winner's card, or, you know, promo card, I guess. And then the winning team also got prize cards. So it was like, it was a pretty good season, I would say, you know, in terms of how much prizing you got. But this time they really wanted to, you know, make sure that people outside of just top 8 get it. And you might be thinking, well, why is that, right? What's the reason for getting, you know, for adding more pricing? Well, usually whenever you have yourself a question like that, the answer is usually One Piece. So Bandai went, and when they started One Piece, they rolled out a crazy tournament structure for it that gave out a lot of prizing, which was similar to what they did with Digimon. And for One Piece, the IP is so strong that a lot of these cards also held a very good price. So you see they have these like offline regionals. These are, I think, happening going forward or already have happened, like June, August, you know, etc. So these are basically just a bunch of regionals and stuff, but look at the pricing, right? You participate, I think they do have a price, like you have to pay to participate in these. You get yourself some promo packs, you get yourself some boosters, and if you get top 512, you get yourself basically an energy card, a special energy card, and an event pack. And you know, as long as the event has over 1,000 players, if it's over 500 players, you get top 256. You get a sleeve, a pack of sleeves. I don't know how many sleeves you get in it, but you get a pack of sleeves. Top 128 gets themselves an energy card. Top 64 gets this promo card and 4 promo packs, right? top 32 gets this card set. So this card set of these promos, I'm not sure how much these go for necessarily. And then you've got an invite to finals at top 16 already, which is also pretty crazy. And if you have more than 800 players, it's top 32 get invites. Then top 8 gets a serial number card, which go for crazy prices. Second place gets a playmat. First place gets a playmat. And of course, the champion card set. So you got these promo packs that have a bunch of like, you know, bunch of value. These Dawn cards, which are basically like energy cards in Vanguard. This is the sleeves. And this, you see this promo card, you might be thinking, oh, what is this even supposed to be? Or like this is like the champion card, the katakuri. You're like, oh, like, you know, it's just these are just like cards, right? What could their value possibly be? Well, what's crazy, if we look at the prices in Japan, this is that like top cut one, 500,000 yen is like 5 months of rent. And then this is half a year of rent. So they go for quite a bit. They go for a solid amount. And then of course in Japan, I mean, they also like, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people play One Piece on the side, is that the One Piece pricing in Japan is crazy. Like this ace, serial number ace in the flagships are what they're called in Japan, the flagship tournaments. These are like monthly tournaments where each shop has 32 or 64 spots, and then essentially you'll have thousands of people apply for them, and then only several number of them get into each one, right? And they're held like all the time, but it's very hard to get in because of how popular the game is in Japan. But if you win, you get the serial Shanks. Sorry, not Shanks. This one's the serial ace. Sorry, the Shanks was in English. But yeah, so you see you get this serial number ace. So if it's a 32 player tournament, the first place gets it. And if it's 64, then top 2 get it. So for just, you know, getting top 2 at a 64 player tournament, you get yourself a 400,000 yen prize card. Pretty good. And then even if you don't get the first or second place, if you top cut, if you're top 8 of a 32 player tournament or top 16 of a 64 player tournament, then you get this Yamato, which also goes for like 13,000 yen, about $100, right? So it's pretty cool because just for these, they don't do a top cut, they just do Swiss rounds, and then at the end of Swiss, depending on your standing, you get yourself the prize, right? So this is like a very big incentive. Like I know people in Southeast Asia that quit their jobs just to grind these prize cards because they are worth more money than what they're paid for by their job, right? If you're really good at One Piece, you can probably earn a lot of money from just selling these. And so that's why with Vanguard, you know, a lot of the times the prizing, it comes down to either you're giving out stuff like cards or playmats or stuff like that, or you're giving out money. And a lot of Japanese card games tend to choose to give out cards because the cards, you know, it's not like money, doesn't have to worry about taxes or like gambling laws like in Germany or Japan and stuff like that. And the cards are usually worth a fair bit. Like this Nao one, for example, when it first started being a championship top 8 promo in Japan, it was worth 100,000 yen. So very similar to, you know, those, not the bigger One Piece prizes, but pretty big for, you know, prize card. The Must 91 never went for that much, but it's still worth like 45,000 yen or so, like still like $300 or so. So, you know, there's definitely a difference. I sadly topped in this one, not this one, but it is a good way to add more incentive and to also add some kind of value in terms of the people that grind these events and just try to like farm tops. So, you know, they get their invite to Worlds and they still want to travel to events and compete, you know, because they compete for the glory, and you give them something else to get along the way that helps to cover, you know, the flight, helps to cover the hotel and stuff like that. And so in my mind, it's rarely a bad thing. But when I tweeted this, that I shared that this can become a top 32 prize, some people, you know, there's quite a bit of different engagements with this tweet, right? So, you know, Orange said a lot of events here hit past 257, so it's quite a big chance. Also, I'm gonna bring up, you know, these tweets, but it's just, you know, whatever comes up, we're gonna mention it. So Saddam said it's bad. There's time wasted going to happen for deck checking 32 decks, an undeserved bubbling, right? And of course, it's got a bunch of responses. And basically, David Smart here said that, so basically he said that like a player who goes 4-3 during Swiss shouldn't deserve a chance to compete for Worlds invites. And then immediately somebody went, this can't happen. At most it's X2s that can make it in. So, and then, you know, there was like, okay, I take it back. I made a mistake, but still gonna take a while for top 32 decks. But then it's like, well, for Team League right now, you got to do 24 decks in deck checks. So as long as you have the judges, it's not going to take that long. So there's already a bit of a backlash, right? And this started quite a bit of discussion. So basically, Orange quotes this means more X2s will make it who don't deserve it. She says this means less drop rates after round 2, which is very nice. More folks wanting to try harder. Those 8 to 9 rounds where you go X2 the last 2 rounds doesn't feel like a waste of your time. Also true. Folks actually leave with something and get rewarded for entering and more incentive to travel. So she says top 32 is a little low and could be at a higher player count, but if the goal is to keep people in the event, then I'm for it for now. I personally think it's fine where it's at. I think for Vanguard to award top 32 at, you know, because 257 means 257, but also means 1,000, right? So at the end of the day, if these events are crossing over 257 by a lot, then it's a definitely much different story than just like barely under 300, right? So then this is the one that made me want to actually make this video was Zenarion, you know, was also a fellow content creator, said maybe this is a time I'll attend an event and don't feel like I'll be wasting my time if I don't make it to top tables. So, and this is the reason why I'm making this video, is because of not just this post, but also the expansion on it that I want to kind of read out to you guys and also explain why I said what I did also on Twitter. He says, I guess I said this in a negative way. I never attended any event before. I always wanted to go to one to meet people and to have fun. I do have a competitive side. There are times I want to push myself to be better at any of these. However, there are 2 reasons why I haven't gone to any of them. 1, money. This is the most understandable reason to not go to an event. Traveling is expensive, especially during certain seasons. You need, especially if you're staying for both days, you need hotel. Hotels can be expensive, right? It adds up. It's definitely not for everyone. And 2 is the one that I was not very happy with. Wasted time practicing to win. Regardless of what you might think, I absolutely hate wasting time when it comes to anything. Life is already so short. Agree. With the updates to the prizing, it's not just persuading me to try harder to better myself, but others as well. I understand it's a card game and some things are out of your control. However, spending a lot of money to go to an event to not try to get some type of self-validation to myself is what worries me, right? So this is the sentence kind of, right? You're spending a lot of money to go to an event and you want something in exchange for it. And I think that's kind of what this prizing is for, because these, you know, a lot of players, especially in the West compared to Japan, right? In Japan, it's like, well, you do have to spend a fair bit, a couple hundred to go to these events, right? For like train fees and whatnot, you know, especially for people in the US, it's extra expensive, right? To travel interstate and stuff like that. So he says, you can say, oh, just play for fun. I have been for most of my card game time. Even at locals and some small tournaments, I play for fun and try testing new things. I want to personally push myself to achieve something that I can be proud of spending my time and money on. Even after seeing all this, I can still just lose all my games in an event. Tough titties. I don't want to come off as not enjoying the game and only getting value from getting prizing, because I normally don't, not even at locals. I play bad decks and make content. Still have Vanguard and it's a fun game. The competitive aspect of saving time doesn't equal reality. It is a card game. So there is a lot to unpack in this statement, and I kind of just throw a response at it, because I think for a lot of people, these events, there's multiple different layers to it. And for some people, it's literally just to see the squad. It's to see the boys, right? So my kind of response to this was like, you know, if you're worried about time wasted if the tournament itself goes poorly, right? You can just embrace the content creator side, you know? Zenarion is a content creator. You know, you can make a vlog out of your preparation, build a whole narrative around it, vlog the event, and even if you didn't do well, you know, you leave something behind. And he said, you know, that's something that he didn't take into account. And then Orange also kind of like said something similar that she heard from one of our professors. And then Matt kind of also echoed that, like, you know, the true play for big tournaments is seeing the homies you never get to see, which is for a lot of people a big point. And so the reason why I'm even making this video in the first place is that I think it's important to remember that while this prizing is very attractive and it's very important to have it, the whole reason why I spent the first bit of this video showing you all the prizing from the different, you know, mostly from One Piece, is that this motivates people to come, and there being more stuff given out to a bigger range of people means that the people that spend time and money to go to these will then feel like, oh, well, at least I got like this energy card. At least I got a Dawn card. I got something to commemorate, right? I got something to commemorate being here. And then if I put in some practice and time into it, and I didn't get too unlucky, you know, it's still card games, maybe I got something like this to also commemorate it, right? I also got myself a prize card, right? To show that I did well at this event. And I think that it was about damn time that Bushiroad kind of learns from his competitors and employs something like this, and I think it's a very good thing. But it's also important to not over focus on the prizing, because if you only care about the prizing, then you aren't gonna have a good time. I think at the end of the day, these events are much more than just competing for a prize. It's about the people you meet, it's about the connections you make, it's about the memories you make. For those of you that see this prizing and are now like, whoa, I want to travel to the BCSs near me, especially if you're in NA, there's a lot of them, and I want to compete for this, I want to go ham, right? It's time. This is my season, this is my time, my calling, right? I highly implore you to do that, especially if you've never played an event before. If this is what finally motivated you to do it, do it. But don't get over focused on the fact that you have to get this prize card to make it worth it, right? Just because you didn't get a tangible result doesn't mean that everything went to waste. If you had a good time, if you managed to make new friends, if you made some memories that you'll never forget from like the fun little goofs and gaffs you had with your friends there, those are good things, right? For the majority of my card game career, I was not topping events. If you look at my achievements, most of the time that I lived in Europe playing Vanguard, I never topped. I bubbled more times than I topped by far. It just kind of like became a thing where I still traveled all the time, because it's like these people I only get to see at these events. I just want to see the people at this point. And I can make a video, I can make a little vlog, I can film something, I can interview the people that are doing well there, or you know, things like that. My objectives changed over time. And after moving to Japan, I started topping more. Now it's like I can make whole narratives about it. It's fun. Record my my success in that sense too. I really think that over focusing on the prizing can be pretty crazy in terms of just like being bad for your mental, right? So don't overdo it. At the end of the day, I have a couple things I can show you that I think help to ground things down a little bit. First is the good old deep Leffen bot, and this is always great. Some days it almost doesn't feel worth it to fly across the country to compete for a chance to break even on my expenses. But then I take a deep breath and remind myself, it's going to be okay. You don't have any other skills. You fucked up and now this is all you've got. That's just, it's like, at the end of the day, you're not gonna become rich from these events unless you're a One Piece player, probably. So at the end of the day, like, take more out of it. Don't worry about the prizing too much. And the other one, EVO is happening right now. This is of course after the third strike finals, but someone who works hard can never beat someone who enjoys himself. This is the other kind of mantra, I suppose, that at the end of the day, if you're only focusing on just improving, just, you know, topping, and only on the goal of getting a prize, chances are you might not have the best time. So take the competition seriously, but don't forget to have fun. Don't forget that at the end of the day, we're all playing a card game. Don't make it that getting money from winning prize cards is the only thing that matters, right? Very important. I've seen a lot of One Piece players burn out of the game because, you know, all they cared about is getting money, right? Because their prize cards are worth so much money. And then they played other card games and they were like, but there's no money. What do I do now, right? Or then they didn't top in the One Piece events. They were like, what am I playing this game for, kind of thing, right? Don't forget to enjoy yourself in these competitive times. So anyway, this has been a very rambly discussion. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy yourself at BCS or WGP, depending on which region you live in. But anyway, with that, that's gonna be it for me today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. And if you want to support the channel and get access to some bonus content, become a YouTube channel member, and it helps the channel quite a lot. With that, that's gonna be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.